Hey, mamas, and welcome back to another episode of the Modern Moms Club podcast. Today, I have Nichole Sylvester with me. She's #1 best-selling author of Oh Shift, and she's a living testimony of radical transformation. So I can't wait to dive in to just her story and, everything that she talks about because, Nichole talks about vulnerability, which, as a mom, I feel like when we connect with other moms, like we have to be super vulnerable, also with our own feelings. Radical self-acceptance, prioritizing our needs and desires, which we all know is super important as well, boundaries, worthiness, and as I mentioned, entrepreneurship as a mom. So Nichole, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, so this is a little bit different interview. Like I don't have any notes. We're just going to kind of go off the cuff and like kind of just have like a girlfriend conversation, which I kind of love because it's not so like, I got to answer this question. It's just like two girlfriends talking back and forth.
Right.
So
and I feel like yeah, I love that because I feel like it's natural and it just lets the magic, whatever needs to come up will come up.
Yes, I love that. And I love your energy. So I would love for you to talk to my audience about kind of what your journey is and kind of where you started and where you are today, just to let them in on kind of who is Nichole.
Yeah. So when I say that living testimony of radical transformation, I was literally like this woman from when I was like a young teen till almost age 30, I was a woman that like you would look at and think like she's not going to go anywhere. Up until age 28, I mean, like I was like, okay, I'm going to either die or end up in jail. I mean, it was horrible. And what I had done from early as age 15, I was just self-medicating. I was self-medicating because I grew up in a traumatic home environment where, I was watching my dad overdose and, there was like a lot of bad things happening. So I just learned to self-medicate and run away from the pain. And I found myself in abusive relationship after abusive relationship to the point where when I finally got the courage to leave one of my boyfriends, my first abusive boyfriend, he actually came and kidnapped me and beat me till I was unrecognizable, dropped me off at a hospital. Thankfully, I like begged him and he just like had this moment where he just stopped and dropped me off at a hospital. But from that point, I was like even more traumatized. Yeah. And it just led into more and more things. And then finally, I moved to Vegas. I had this idea, like, I should move from Philly to Vegas. Like, that's a good idea.
I love that we're both Philly girls, too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's really cool. I'm in Philly right now, but it's funny. I moved to Vegas at age 22, and I met my daughter's father the first night I was there.
Okay.
And that's really like the climax of my book because he and I started selling drugs, a large amount. I mean, I made $1 million by age 25. Wow. And when I had my daughter, I realized like, I want a better life. Mm-hmm. And he just was like, no, we're going to keep doing these things. And he was so abusive at one point that he threw something at me and I had 10 staples at the crown of my head. And that was when I was like, I have to break this pattern. My whole family had abuse. Like my mom,
it was a pattern.
Yeah, it was a generational pattern of, okay, well, people get your boyfriend or husband will get mad at you and sometimes he'll hit you. Like I knew that as love, sick and twisted. But so I left him and I talk about this in the book. It was really like a scary way that I had to leave him because he wouldn't let me leave. So I had to drug him and leave him. And he ended up murdering a woman 6 weeks later in my home. And that was the moment of like, I mean, my whole body has chills now because it's like my body is still traumatized by it. But that happened 10 years ago.
Wow.
So I went on a journey to find my own like sobriety and emotional freedom. And, God called me to help other women. So now I have this business and do all these things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is such like, you said it's, I'm looking right at your book in the back of you. It says a journey from chaos to consciousness. So, I mean, like, as a mom, like, I feel like we all feel this calling, this need of like, you want better for your child. So like, was there any point where you were just like, but while you were pregnant or after she was born, like that you made that decision? Or was that just something that you were like, I need to do this for me? Or was it more for, I need to do this as a mom for her?
Yeah. Like when I was pregnant, I knew it. It was crazy even how I was pregnant. I share this stuff in the book is that I found out I was pregnant and I was scared and I didn't want to be pregnant. And I actually thought I had a miscarriage. I went to the hospital. They told me I had a miscarriage. It was like 3 months later, I come back here to Pennsylvania, visit my family, and I was really sick. I just wasn't well. I go to the Chester County Hospital here, and they're like, you're pregnant, and I see the baby. And it was like, oh my God, I'm meant to have this baby. But I did not care about my life. Like I was just in a lot of pain, and I was just trying to get through my days.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I felt very lost. My daughter was like my first thing where I was like, I have something to like live for. I have a reason to take care of something.
So was that, your book is called Oh Shift. So was that the shift in the mental change, the first step to start that transformation?
Yeah. I mean, that was the first, like, okay, there's more here and I have to take care of her. And the biggest shifts were like when I moved to LA, I just thought, well, if I stop drinking and stop using cocaine and stop numbing, that I'm going to be like totally better. But what happened was everything that I ignored up until like, that time, it all came back to haunt me. So I had like post-traumatic stress and all this stuff. So, and the shift was that I'm worthy and that I have a value and that even though all these things happen to me, that I can still show up. And the funny thing was, and why I talk about vulnerability and acceptance so much, is that I hid all of these things from people for years. I just came out about it October 2015. And it was like, it was all living inside of me. Like, this is ugly. This is bad. I can't share it.
Right. So how do you speak to women about that vulnerability? Like, what do you share with them and how do they, tap into that? Because it can be scary to be vulnerable.
It's scary. Like it's still, even now I have new layers of vulnerability. Like I just did a podcast where I shared about like my love life a little bit and how it didn't work out. And I was like, I felt the vulnerability like hangover before I even published it.
Like the vulnerability hangover. Yeah.
I was like, maybe I shared too much. Like maybe that's too deep.
I think people need, the people that are maybe scared to share what they've gone through, been through, or going through, I think it resonates with them the most. And those are the people that need to hear that. So you're sharing it for a reason.
I always think like, this is what I tell people. This is what I tell people. And this is what I remind myself of is like, we are really hungry and thirsty for humanness. If we're looking to look out into the world and see that I'm not the only weirdo. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that feels like I'm a mess. I'm not the only one that's scared.
Yeah. And that's, I love that you say that because I try to stress so much in my podcast. Like the reason why I have this podcast is because I don't want moms to feel alone. And I feel like I just did an interview last week and the mom that I interviewed, she said, can be so lonely at times being a mom. Like you're home with these babies and, you feel like you're the only one going through it and you're not and that's what I want to share with these moms. Like whatever you're going through, someone has been there before, someone else can relate to you. And especially, in this mom spectrum of newborns and pregnancy and that whole chapter, like it's very, it's a place where we've all been, but it's also something that to a lot of, especially new moms, it's scary. It's scary to be there because they don't know what to expect.
Also, people try to do this whole Pinterest perfect baby, newborn. And like, that sucks. I never related to it. Obviously my life was way different, but I had like a beautiful home on the golf course with all these things, but it was just, I think that it's so important. And that's why I just always say this, that I fall in love with humans that share who they are. And it doesn't matter their background. If I even necessarily agree with them, there's something about it that becomes magnetic. And I would say it's like a campfire. It's like, let people feel your fire. It warms us. Like we want to. And even for me, it's like, I share all the good stuff. I share a lot of the vulnerable, but I'm not going to go on Instagram and post like, oh my God, I just got in a fight with my teenage daughter because it's that kind of time of my life right now. I'm not going to go post that, but it's happening.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the thing, behind the curtain, like, you called it the Pinterest perfect life. I call it like the highlight reel, it's like the highlight reel of everyone sharing the good stuff, but you don't see the behind the scenes stuff that's going on, So I think when it's all shiny, and looks pretty, like, we all get caught up in, well, is it supposed to look like that? Why doesn't my life look like that? So it's easy to fall into that trap. And it really is a trap because it's like, it's not real.
And the trap is what's wrong with me. And that's why like something's wrong with me because I'm not this, or something's wrong with me because I can't achieve that, or I can't maintain that. And that's why one of my biggest things that I always go back to is there's nothing wrong with you. Like as soon as you start to believe that, it's like, wow, there's some freedom here.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to talk about also like for moms prioritizing our needs and, I think as a mom, it's so hard. I'm reading a book right now and I read this, one of the the page yesterday, and it said, 5/4 or 5/6, whatever, of the word mother is other. What is it? MOTHER. Okay, so 5/6 of the word.
The whole thing. Besides M.
I'm like, what she was saying was that like, we have to give to everyone else. So we do have to be a little bit selfish because our job title is taking care of others. So how do we prioritize our needs, our wants, our desires?
It's tough. And I would say that I feel like 80% of moms would judge me as a bad mom because
no judging, judgment-free zone.
Yeah, I'm really selfish when it comes to certain things. Like for instance, I just moved back to Philadelphia and I told my daughter yesterday, I just don't think I can live here. I don't think I can live here. I think I need to move back to Del Rey. And we moved here for her.
Yeah.
The thing is I know that if I am not happy, if I am not nourished, the whole ship is not going to be going well.
Right.
So it's a constant. I feel like it's also we don't have to be selfish to just say your needs don't matter. So what I do is I just say, here's what I need.
Mm-hmm.
How can we navigate this? At the end of the day, I am going to know what's better a lot of times. Sometimes our kids don't know. But it's also like, can we show up for them, but make sure that we're well fed and nourished emotionally, spiritually? And that's really where I live from. So the moms that are going through life, and I hear this from moms all the time, they're like, I need to work on this. I need to go to an event. I need a retreat. You can see that it's physically making them stressed, sick. They don't even know themselves anymore, but their kids come first. Oh, no, I don't live like that.
Yeah. And I think, I talk a lot about as a mom, like we need to pour back into ourselves because we're taking care of everything else, everyone else. And it's not just our kids, it's our husbands or our partners, the groceries, the laundry, the list never stops, right? You're in bed at night thinking of all the crap you still have to get done.
Yeah. And I'm a single mom. So it's, for me,
that's even harder.
Yeah. It feels so hard sometimes. And it's just, I just know that I'm not willing to go back into anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, that's another topic, like anxiety. Like for me, I even feel like I felt like I had, you're from Philly. I'm from Philly. I went to Temple, which I felt like that's kind of where that started for me. Because I was like in the city, I'm this like, suburban girl going into the city. And for me, like, I know when I get that anxiety coming on in my life, and I know like working out helps. I know filling my cup back up is what helps keep that at bay.
Yeah.
So, for a mom, like we're dealing with so much, I really I can't stress it enough about how important it is to fill that cup up and go on a retreat. And it doesn't have to be like a week or a month long, like go for a day and go to a networking event that's in your area. And don't feel guilty about hiring a babysitter, having someone to come watch your kid because it's normal. Like it's so normal.
And needed. Like the thing is, and that's a good point of like the feeling guilty for hiring a babysitter, like anything that brings you joy. And this is something that I've learned to live by. And, is anything that brings me joy is not a waste of money.
Yeah.
Like, so, and some people say, well, I could have given this money to my kids, like rather than investing in this conference. Right. You need it because we are teaching our kids to honor their needs. And really, I'm not looking to have the most obedient child. I'm looking to have a child that also speaks her truth. Like I want my daughter to not have to like learn how to be obedient and then unlearn it and hire someone like me later.
Yeah. And also be resourceful too, because that's like huge. I think going to, let's just say it's a conference, just for argument's sake, we'll say going to a conference, you are going to come back from that, not only feeding your soul and your minds and everything else around you, but you may pick up tips to help you maximize time. One thing I always talk about is like outsourcing. Like I'll do Instacart or like, something to get my groceries or whatever. Like every single person I talk to that is like an entrepreneur that's somehow looks like they have it all figured out, right? Like figured out. Like they always say, like outsource the things that you don't want to do or that will make you more time.
Yeah, more time.
It's so important to learn these things, and you're not going to learn it unless you're around it.
Oh God. And with the outsourcing things, I used to have this thing too, where I felt like it was less womanly not to do my own laundry or cook. And then I was like, no. I don't like these things.
We are not in like the 40s and 50s.
It's like, I don't like these things. And I still have friends, like every once in a while, they're like, you spend so much money on eating out. I'm like, this is for my peace of mind.
Yeah. Yes. I am so with you. And I think it's so important. And, again, it's just, I feel like just giving the moms almost like a hall pass to be like, it's okay to do this, because again, you might feel guilty about it, but when you hear from another mom you're like, oh wait, she's doing it. So maybe I can do it too.
Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
also, I would say anyone that feels like they can't afford these things to just test it and challenge yourself to hire a cleaning person to come help you once and see how nice it feels to walk into your house and it's super clean. Like
Exactly.
It's so worth the feeling of like, I don't have to do any of these things.
Yes, definitely. And I want to talk about also like, you know, you touch on the subject of worthiness. And I think, you know, as a mom, this kind of comes under the same category, but feeling like we put ourselves last. And again, this also speaks to prioritizing ourselves, but feeling like, I mean, what do you think worthiness means, like as a mom, like being able to give that to ourselves, and what does that look like?
I think first it's like coming back to like sovereignty, that I'm not just a mom, I'm me.
Yes.
Like a mom is one of my roles. It's not my like, it doesn't make me or define me. It's a big major role in my life, but like, can I come back to what I need as a human?
Yeah.
and that I deserve to be happy and healthy and whole. And so do my children. And they're not me though. And I can never take control of my daughter's happiness and wholeness. I would want to. I would want to speak all these things in her, but she has her own journey too.
Right.
So I think that we try to, you know, think that like, I don't know, it's like just first coming back to self and asking like, what do I really need here? Besides being a mom, like I need maybe time to flirt and feel sexy. Maybe I need time to just not have to do a damn thing. Maybe I need 2 days to go to a retreat where I don't have to cook, clean, make my bed, do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And just giving yourself permission to like know that all of it's okay.
Right.
And what are you taking action on? Like for me, my income shifted. I mean, like I literally 16 times my income the year after I started my business, because I just decided I deserve the best now. Not later, not this time. And I started doing things that I kind of couldn't afford at the time, like going to the Ritz for a massage because I don't want to go to Massage Envy. Like, you know, like really like enjoying it. And it was funny because once I started saying, yes, I deserve this, like everything else started shifting. My perception, my state of being, everything shifted.
Yeah. So what do you think like holds moms back? Like, what do you think? I mean, I know that you're saying like, you know, once you started changing that in your own mindset, like what are some of those like kind of like beliefs that we tell ourselves? Like, and how do we change that?
I think that first it's coming back to innocence and understanding like we're all children of this lifetime. Like even us, like as adults or even 20 years from now when we're much older, we still don't know everything. So like give yourself grace to understand that like we are still children in ways and that we're just exploring, and that, you know, things don't make you a bad person. Like you're just figuring it out too.
Yeah.
So if we just figure out that like all of us are figuring it out, we're doing our best with what we know. And I think that holds us back so much, thinking that there's one right way.
Right.
And then having that judgment that compounds like regret, guilt, shame, because then we feel like bad people.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think it's something that it's like a muscle. I feel like you have to work on it, you know, and maybe a mom isn't ready to go and like leave her kids for a weekend yet, or even a night, you know, or even like 6 hours, you know, but maybe she's ready for an hour. So it's something that like go out and get your nails done, go get a manicure, and then come back home. And then maybe next time you go and get a manicure and a pedicure, and then you come back home, you know? So
and
like
it's so healthy.
Yeah. Like working on.
Not having an hour to yourself is unhealthy.
It totally is.
Let's just be clear on that.
Yeah. And I think also a lot of moms, you know, in this space, they try and be like working mom and stay at home mom all like at the same time. And I always say like, you can have it all, but just like not all at once. Like you can be super mom from like for me, I break my day up. Like my mornings from 7:30 until 2:30 is my work time. And then from 2:30 until my baby goes down at 7:30 or 8 o'clock is like my mom time. So I'm not like checking emails or, you know, doing interviews or whatnot. I'm in mom mode, you know, and vice versa. So I feel like that allows me to be fully in and fully present in whichever hat I'm wearing.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the boundaries, right? So it's like, you know, that that's there, but it also teaches our kids. And here's what I want to tell everyone. My daughter is still sweet, but like her and I were like everywhere I was, she wanted to be. When your kids turn teenagers, that changes. And it's a whole, and I've been talking to so many moms about this and I've been reading books about it. There's a shift there. So if you think that you're going to like be with your child and like that they're always going to be right there, like start now. Give it to yourself now, because what happens, this happens with women that give all themselves to their husbands.
Right.
It happens with women that completely shift their identity into being a mother. What the hell happens later?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And then have to have your own identity. What did you say? Sorry.
I said you have to have your own identity.
Yeah. So start now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And even if it's just like going to a workout class or going and like doing a hobby and finding other women that like that hobby that you like, you know, just so you have something else other than just being a mom. And you know, of course, I think women that can do the mom thing, like, you know, they're just super mom because they're in it all day long. And, you know, the women that have like 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, I'm like, I like applaud you because
anxiety.
So, you know, I am not saying anything against that. I'm just saying for me personally, I know I need my Sandy time. I need my Sandy and my husband time. And then like there's our family time, my work time, my friend time, my hobby time. And they can mix, you know, together, but it's not like one pot is getting all the attention.
Yeah. And I would say this, it's going right back to your needs and desires, right? Like if your truest desire is, I just want to be present with my kids and I want to like do all the crafts and make all the food. I used to do all those things and thinking that made me a better mom. Mm-hmm. But what I realized is I have aspects of me that will teach my daughter things that kind of mothering won't.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it, right? So it's just like, can I just stay true to me? Because what I've learned quickly is, and I was, you know, in my book, I shared the details of this, but I was diagnosed with a panic disorder and I was having horrible anxiety and all these things. And I thought I was just a depressed person. What I realized is anxiety and depression come up for me when I'm not listening to where I'm being guided to go and listening to my needs.
Yeah.
So many moms are like needing the wine all the time, or they're just taking Xanax to get by, or whatever the hell they're doing. I would say if that's where you're at, check in. Because all of those emotions come up to say, hey, pay attention. There's something that's not working for me here.
Right. And find maybe something else that you can channel that energy to.
Yeah. And just start asking yourself, like, our bodies are always communicating to us. So asking those needs and desires and knowing that there's so many ways to mom. And I love Rachel Hollis, what she talks about as like being a mom that like is a badass mom, but also showing up for her mission.
Yes.
You know, I think that those kind of conversations are so important.
Definitely. And now what do you think, I mean, so for your book, for the mom that hasn't read this yet, what are like the 3 takeaways that you want, not just from the book, but that you want, you know, your readers to take away from that?
Yeah. I want everyone that reads this book to feel, and this is like kind of what I've heard from people, is that I want them to be reminded that there's so much more like within them. Like one thing this book proves is you watch this woman like going through like the depths of hell, and like every time I begin to take an action forward, something just like sweeps the rug from under me. Horrible things. And what I keep doing is digging deeper, and no one knew, I didn't know the potential that was here.
Right.
And all the things I do now, I lead international retreats. I help thousands of women, a few men sprinkle in there. You know, I have my book. I have a lot of things that are happening, and none of it would be like if I just gave up back then.
Yeah.
So my whole thing is no matter what you've been through, because a lot of people are hiding behind, well, I was assaulted, like I had sexual assault or abuse, or I have this thing I'm ashamed of, or I have a divorce, or I'm a single mom. I want them to read my book and realize I checked off all the boxes of bad things, and I still was able to rise and really go beyond what I thought I could. So
what do you think allowed you to step into that?
You know, like definitely my spiritual practice and God, intuition, whatever that is for everyone. You know, I literally, like I have a calling on my life. And that's one thing that comes into play for me as a mom. Yeah. Is that I know I'm here to mother on a way greater level, not just mother my daughter, mother myself, but mother other people into, you know, really birthing their potential.
Wow. That's amazing.
So it keeps me going. And like, that's why I'm obsessed with my work in such a good way. But I figure I'd rather be obsessed with this than like, can't wait until the next Netflix something comes out. So I don't care.
Exactly. I know. My husband and I were just saying the other day, like before we had the baby, like when I was pregnant, we'd sit down and we'd watch Netflix, and, you know, cause I was feeling like way huge, especially towards the end, but I'd be like, we haven't watched like a series of anything in at least 16 months.
Yeah, I have. I mean,
It's just,
I've done it. It's good sometimes.
but you know what though? The thing is, like, I enjoy going to bed at 9:30. And if I don't, I'm like, clock's ticking. If it's past 9:30, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I got to go to bed.
Yeah. I stay up so late. It's like one of my bad things because I cannot sleep at night. So I'm like, I go in low sleep a lot, but I also am one of those people that's like, all right, I'll just like sleep in. I don't believe in for me, I think everyone needs something different. So
I for
think
sure need sleep.
yeah, the thing at like waking up at 5 a.m., I'm like, I want to do that. But then when I wake up in the dark, I'm like, ew, I do not want to do this. This is not my best life.
Yeah, one of my goals that I'm working on is waking up at 6 because the baby wakes up at 6:30.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so waking up before he gets up, brushing my teeth, getting like just little things to get done, and I have a course around that too. But it makes me feel like just doing it for the past, like, I don't even know, 6 months, whatever, but really the waking up thing, like extra early, has been like such a game changer. I'm like, wow, like I should have done this a long time ago. But that means going to bed early. It's not like I'm going to bed at midnight and waking up at 6,
Yeah.
I
Some
need
people
my
only
body
need
more
that
time.
too. Yeah, no, I think that it does because you start your day with such this like conscious awareness of I'm going to win my day.
Yes, that's
And
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what I talk about in the course. But yeah, so I want to just to have 2 more questions that I want to talk to you about. So so you wrote this book, Oh Shift.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about, how you wanted to change things up for your daughter. So for all the moms that are looking like, maybe they saw something growing up or they lived a certain way and they want to change that. What would you say to those moms that know they want to make that change, but they don't know where to start?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So like, I would say you have to get incredibly honest. Any transformation requires radical honesty. You can't say, well, this is okay. Like this relationship is okay. This, way of living, you have enough to get by. Like you have to be really honest. You are giving you are giving these lessons, whether you're sitting your kid down on the couch and teaching them or you're living them, you're teaching them how to relate to money, how to relate to people in love, how to treat their bodies, and they're listening and watching.
Mm-hmm.
So look around and ask, like, what am I doing? And does this really align with what I see for my life? Life is passing by every day. We don't know when we're not going to be here anymore. Like, just start taking action and then take a really radical action and have faith. Like in my book, I share how much faith I had. Like I invested in my first business online course when we didn't even have a sofa. And I decided I had a paycheck coming in and I decided, okay, that was going towards our sofa. And I sat down with my daughter and I said, we're going to go without the sofa for 2 more weeks because I want to invest in this. And it changed my life.
So there you go.
And I still keep doing that crazy stuff. Like I've taken my rent money, thousands of dollars, and just was like, I'm going to India because it happens next week and I need to go. And then the money came before the rent was due.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, my friend said this yesterday to me and I was like, it's so true. Like we have a really good track record of life working out for us.
Yes.
But we expect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're still scared sometimes. Like I'm still like, oh my God, holy crap, am I really doing this?
And you know what? I love the fact that you're talking about like pushing past your comfort zone because my husband and I sat down, was it last night? No, 2 nights ago. And we wrote out our goals for like, not just January, but kind of like for the year, right?
Yeah.
And already like one of the goals on there was like for me to get organized. One of them was for me to like run a 5K, wake up early, like all of these things that I'm like, okay, maybe I want to do them, but like, I don't put them down and write them down on paper. And like you said, take the radical action, you know? And even though to someone is like a 5K, like that's nothing, for me, it's a big deal, I'm not a runner.
Yeah, I'm not a runner either. So I'm like, that's pretty good.
Waking up early at 6 a.m. is a big deal for me. Certain financial goals that I have for myself. So it may take like smaller goals that are like a step outside your comfort zone to get to like that next big goal that is also outside your comfort zone, but you don't feel comfortable with yet, you know? So like same thing what we were saying about the moms, like take small steps, like take a big step, but then realize you can take an even bigger step.
Oh God. And that's the importance of hanging out with the people that are doing the big things and bold things. And the funny thing is when I think back to, me making those steps and taking those risks is it was so scary, but it wasn't something I planned on doing. None of that. So it's like listening to that nudge and that knowing that when you're supposed to do something. Like there's something inside of you. And I always say, trust your excitement.
Yes.
Your bank account will be replenished. Like
Yeah.
your things will be lined up. Like that excitement is like God or whatever you believe in telling you, hey, this is for you now.
Right. Yes. I love it. It's so amazing. Nichole, I would love for you to share with everybody where they can find you and connect with you on social.
Yes. So Nichole Sylvester, Nichole with an H, Instagram, and then also Facebook. I do Facebook Lives on Facebook. I play a lot on Instagram stories are like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
And my podcast, Harmonious Hustle. And also my YouTube, we're beginning to start doing like real legit vlogs. So
Nice.
a more intimate, vulnerable share. Because that's what I feel like people really want from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give them more of the behind the scenes, not just the here's the lesson to change your life.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. The behind the scenes stuff is always fun to watch because it's not like we said, like the highlight reel, it's like the good juicy stuff that people actually want to see.
That's what I started realizing. I was like, okay, I can do this. And now I have a video person because if it was up to me to do my podcast or my videos, like they'll never happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love it. And then do you have any like courses coming out? We know that you have your book, Oh Shift, anything like that. You can I would love for you to share.
Okay. I have a conference, my first conference, the Harmonious Hustle, which is unlike any other conference. And I was like, is this really going to work? And what I found that people already love it because we're already 20% sold out, but it's harmonious and then hustle. So day one is all about tapping into your own inner healer and there's sound, breath work and movement. And day two is really your alter ego. Like who is the boss babe you need to be to step up and say, I deserve this now and I'm unstoppable.
Oh, I love that. I love that combination of the two.
Yeah.
The yin and yang.
It's going to be great.
Amazing. And so when is that? Where is that? And
it's in LA, May 11th and May 12th.
Awesome.
It's on my website. It's on my Instagram. So, and I just can't shut up about it. I'm like, it's like if I could just work on that all the time and like just go to that event, I'm so excited about it.
Well, that is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Nichole, thank you so much for being here today and sharing with all the moms. It was such great information and, information that I feel like we all need to hear. So you guys and all the moms that are listening, if you are waiting for that hall pass, you just got it from Nichole and I. So go ahead, make those bold moves, and I will see you guys on the next episode.